November 22nd to 22.
Morgan Wilson. Brittany Gish.
Present.
Daniel Valentine. Here. Tasha O'Neill.
Present.
Mary Mandola is excused. Deborah Sixta.
Here.
We
Excuse me,
have a
this
quorum.
This is Morgan Wilson. I'm sorry, I'm here. I couldn't find my mute button.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum.
The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first we'll have the consideration of minutes and approval. Need a second.
Need a motion and a second.
Not really.
I didn't hear Brittany. Can you say?
I motion that we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
So moved. Item 2, consideration of public comments. Can you hear me now? Yeah? Those wishing to address the Economic Development Advisory Commission need not request permission in advance. Action taken as a result of public comments will be limited to directing staff to study the matter or rescheduling the matter for consideration and decision at a later time pursuant to ARS 38-431 and all. Anyone? Let the minutes say there is no one here from the public. And we are moving to old business. So I put this on the agenda because I wanted to discuss the goals of the commission. I think I've talked to director, and we have talked about having this be more of an action committee than a reporting committee. Gary, do you have something?
Madam Chairman, members of the commission, what we did is to update you, we rearranged the agenda so that things like this could be talked about first. If you remember our earlier meetings, we did our reports, and then Chairman Sixta did not have an opportunity to talk because we ran out of time. So the first thing that took place was rearranging the agenda. And so then, and this is all in a computer, by the way, so it all just comes out. So we had to go back to the software people. So that's why the agenda looks like it does. Commissioner Sixta and I had talked earlier about about the goals and stuff like that. Now, one of the things that I am going to read later on is I'm going to update you, which is actually the next item on the, I'm sorry, to talk a little bit about the City Ordinance 1943, which really kind of updates the guidelines. In each one of your packets, Lisa did include, an update of what that is. So I think that Commissioner Sixta, we can really just decide today if there's some goals that you would like to do. Now, if they conflict or anything with the ordinance, I'm certainly happy to take that back and talk to either the city manager and or the city attorney if it won't work out that way. But I think maybe I would like to hear from all of you what you would like to see, and then we certainly can agendize it for the next meeting or bring it back to you for discussion.
There's a couple things. Number one, I believe this is to be an action committee, and so that means we have to have action. We have to do stuff. In our mission statement, it states that we are an advisory committee. which means we have to advise on situations that are happening with economic development and the community. But if we don't know about them, we can't really advise about them. So I think there needs to be more movement back and forth where there's discussion about what's coming up, what the plans are with tourism, economic development. Now, being a commercial broker myself, I understand that commercial, retail and such are not willing, they don't like anybody to know what they're doing. I'm not asking that question. I'm just saying like the Route 66 things that are planned for the community, that there needs to be a discussion by this committee about, what that means to us. And it says in our mission statement also that we advise and we recommend to council. So it doesn't need to go that we go to you and then you go to council on our behalf. We can go to council, this commission can go to council on their own. So we discuss up here whatever is happening, and then we recommend to the council that it moves forward or not. That to me is action. That to me is what we're supposed to do.
Chair Sixta, I am so sorry to interrupt. We cannot hear on the Zoom or on the stream.
Because it's got a reverb.
Now, can you hear that coming back to you? That's when you know that the people on Zoom and the stream can hear is when you can
Okay.
hear it. Yes,
Okay.
I apologize for
That's
the
okay,
interruption.
no worries.
Okay.
So that is what I wanted to talk about. That is what I wanted to discuss, is that there's more communication between staff, economic development, and tourism, and this commission. That's what I'm looking for.
I think I've summarized it here. Let me do this and bring it back to the commission on that. I see what your overall goal is, and that is, for an example, like when you and I talked, it was, prior to the Route 66, say, Fest being implemented, that we would share that with you. You would say, give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Before and after. The one thing that Chairman Sixta and I did talk about that has changed is prior to 2018, there wasn't an economic development staff for the city. There was not myself. There was a head of planning and zoning, sort of did it. But since then, we've added Bennett, and Josh was always at the visitor center, and then Sylvia doing the retail and commercial. So in many respects, this group just moves ahead all the time. But I do understand where you're coming from, Chairman Sixta, and so let me put it together and bring it back to you, absolutely.
That would be fantastic. As well, I don't know if I should throw this in, but I would like this commission to meet monthly and not every other month. And perhaps we don't have reports from staff every single time, but I think for the commissioners themselves, in order to stay on top of what's happening, because we are in the community, people talk to us, and the way to bring that back is to have a discussion when we have a quorum. And so in that manner, everybody could bring whatever they want to talk about, and we could talk about it. But having to wait 60 days to do that, I think it's detrimental to the communication. Quarterly, yeah.
Well, right now, it is quarterly. I don't know that we can change that. That was in by council put into that ordinance. And so why don't you let me take a minute and read back over the ordinance so we can maybe have some discussion.
Do we have that ordinance?
You have it right. You have a memo from myself with all the highlights from the ordinance. It is also on our website, okay, on the city website.
I would like to have the full ordinance, all of it, not just highlights.
Well, there is, what you had from me was was all the highlights from it here and
Thank
the
you.
schedule, so.
Okay.
Chair Sixta, can I interject?
Yes.
One of the things
Yes.
that, in looking at the goals, because I saw it was on the agenda here, there's a 2019 economic development strategy.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of where, when advising, that might be a place that we can look at and see where we're at in that strategy
Absolutely.
guide, and see how we as a commission can help staff move that forward.
I think that's great.
Well, It is actually part of, it's in the section of the ordinance that specifies and addresses the Economic Development Commission, section 2-161, which states the commission shall provide advice and guidance in the creation, implementation, and revisions of the Economic Development Master Plan. So we always have the master plan, and that is certainly is available, and we've made it available to all of you. The commission shall review the city progress in the fulfillment of the master plan. The commission will bridge the communications efforts to build the relationship between the public sector, the community, and the business interest. So mine was that it was included with your stuff was just a synopsis of that. So
Is the master plan something that's done annually, or is it just set? I mean, like, do you have a budget plan? Do you have something that you do, like, you make at the start of every year, before the start of every year, you put together, this is what our goal is for the year, and that's what you follow, and is that something that could be
there are
presented?
performance measures that we follow as a division that report up to through the city manager up to city council. So the city council sits prior to the budget time and has a meeting, and then they set down the general guidelines, and then we have to build up underneath that. But the strategic plan is a plan that was developed in 2018, and then every 2 years we update, kind of like what we just did the update on the website and stuff like that. So we make sure, but what we can do, we'll make sure that you all have that plan, and then, you know, what you certainly can do is if you see at the commission say, where are you at with this piece or that piece? It's fairly extensive, so,
I imagine
but yes.
so.
Yes. Yes, please.
Can I ask a question to?
Yes.
I have the 2019 Economic Development Strategy. Is that the current one, or is there one for 2021 then?
Oh, that strategy is what we've built it all on. Every year we take a look and see what do we need to fulfill. There were 25 different pieces to that when it was put together.
Yeah, I've read through it,
Right.
and it's pretty extensive,
Yeah.
and I can see where pieces of it have come together. I just know that's pre-COVID-19, and there have been some things that have changed, so I just wanted to make sure I had the most recent copy of it.
We'll give you a heads up when we're ready to update again on that one there. But we follow
Thank you.
those guidelines, and then we tweak them according to the time and the need. So, yes.
Everybody that, we're all pretty new to this
Yes.
commission, and so the questions are because we
Oh, that's
want to know
okay.
the
No, no,
expectation.
no.
It's not to question what your work is, it's just what is the expectation of a commissioner? Are we just here to listen, or like Chair Sixta said, you know, the advisory? So it's just clarifying some things.
In talking with Chairman Sixta, I think we can meet your same desires and things that you're looking for, and certainly what the chairman's looking for too. So I will sit down with my group, and then we will look at stuff in advance. Now, as far as the changing on the quarterly, I don't know. It's the way it's spelled out in there, so that I'll have to go get back on. Now the chairman can call a meeting if she feels it's necessary. But if you just go ahead and say you're just going to do it monthly, I have to get that clarified. I don't have that answer, Chairman.
And I can speak to Mr. Cooper as well. I just feel that in order to be effective, we need to be action-oriented, and to do that, we need to meet more often. It doesn't mean that staff needs to report more often. It just means that we need to meet more often, the commission itself.
Wouldn't we need a reason to be meeting, and if we don't have anything to advise or know about?
Well, if it's designated, you would.
I'm
bring-
just thinking.
No, I understood, but in order to bring and discuss, we have to
Right.
all be together.
Correct.
We can't be alone out at, you know what I mean?
Well, quarterly does seem a little bit far apart, wasn't it, before every other month? And then it moved to
Well,
quarterly?
it was every other month.
It was
yes.
every other month? I mean, that might be more something than just a monthly. would be
Something in the middle.
The quarter, though, does seem to go rather long, and then it makes your reports very, very long, and it's just, I don't know, maybe something to think about.
I think in some cases, and this was looking at the commissions overall, is a lot of our stuff becomes repetitive. And certainly on the economic development side, Bennett and Sylvia may be working on projects that we'll report to you today. Those projects may go on for another year, year and a half with the same thing until they blossom or they go away, one of the two. And so I think that, that became the repetitive part of it, where we just saying to you and just regurgitating the same thing over and over. So, but I do see your concerns, and so I will put that together and see how we can better work with the commission on the advisory piece.
Gary,
Chair
please speak
Sixta?
into the microphone, make sure.
I'm sorry, there we go, yeah, me too.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, please.
Can I suggest that perhaps we all take before the next meeting to read both the master plan and the strategies, so that way we have a firm foundation on economic development and where the city is, and then ask the staff to kind of report on where they're at within the strategic guide.
That sounds great. I would love that. Everyone else?
Reread it.
Lisa, were they provided copies already of the, okay, all right,
Via email.
From the first one, yeah,
You
we
just-
read it.
all right. But if you need it, we'll get them back out to you too. It's not a problem.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope, I'm very much with you, and I think being able to go out and speak to people in the community and help bring people together to cooperate with one another is part of what we need to do, but I think we need to make sure we're doing it within the framework that's going to be helpful to the city
Yeah.
staff.
Yes, absolutely. Tasha?
Thanks, Gary.
Welcome.
Dan? Okay. Moving on. Moving on to new business.
We just went, okay,
Oh, we
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 basically
did.
have discussed that.
Yeah.
So we're on the ordinance, and I will get answers to those questions there. So
That's appreciated, Gary.
we would move on to reports. I just want to start out with two that I want to make sure that you heard about. Number one, we participate in this Citizens Academy, and so we did the second one this year, okay? And this is, we try to do 2 a year, and these are to train volunteers from the community on all the departments, okay? They're very informative, and one of the things that Chairman Six and I have talked about is maybe this would also be a good resource for future commissioners, because they've been through all the departments, okay? They've heard the stories, and they get 3 hours from us, and so we give them a lot of detail on what happens on economic development. And the only other thing is that we did attend an Arizona Association of Economic Development this year, and it went very well. The common theme across the board, you guys, is labor and housing costs and stuff like that. So we are not the Lone Rangers when it comes to this. I just wanted to share that with you. So with that, I will move into letting the department heads bring you up to speed. We've had 3 months when we didn't meet, and so we could start out with tourism. Josh has got a lot of good stuff.
Yay.
Chair Sixta, Commissioners. So to first report on our traffic at the Visitor Center, it's about 143% up this fiscal year so far, July through October, compared to last year. We're averaging about 14,500 visitors every month, which is about 474 visitors every day, so that's pretty good numbers.
Josh, is your mic on?
I think so, yes.
Be really loud.
Okay. Compared to last year, it was about 227 visitors per day for those 4 months. Hotel, our occupancy's been about 72%. That is about 1% down from last year. But for the running 12 months, occupancy is about 73.4%, which is about 2% up over the running 12 months prior. So that's November to October. Our average daily rate is up 4% to $91.86 for the month of October. But keep in mind the average daily rate for the running 12 months, keeping inflation in mind, is 14.4% up to $90.71. So Kingman is tracking pretty well there. Events that we have participated in over the last few months, On October 1, we had Drive Electric Earth Day. That was on a Saturday, hosted in the Powerhouse parking lot. That was in conjunction with the Historic Electric Vehicle Foundation. We had the Monarch Triathlon Super Half. This is their inaugural race on October 22nd. There were only about 33 race participants. They can have up to 1,100 participants. This was the first year. They really didn't start promoting until they had all of their permitting through with ADOT, so it was a little bit of lag there, and it was also a learning curve. But they have been chosen by Team USA as one of the races to feature in promoting next year. We think that's really going to turn into something big. They are looking at a weekend, I believe, in September, but nothing's been announced of 2023. On October 14 and 15, we did have the second annual Kingman Route 66 Fest. We had approximately 5,300 spectators for the 2 days. It was mostly rained out on Saturday, though, so we could have had closer to 10,000 plus if we'd been open both days. So for the amount of time that we were open, it was about the same number of visitors we had over total last year between the both days. So we felt it was a pretty good success. And we had about $7,500 in sales between beer, retail items, and the wristbands. That's going to continue to grow and help to fund the event going into the future. Hotel occupancy between Friday and Saturday was about 87-88%. The first annual Route 66 Ultra Run with Marshall Ulrich was held on Veterans Day weekend. So that's just a couple weeks ago here. And that was a race from Seligman to Topak going through Kingman. So it was a 140-mile nonstop race. They did have 14 participants for this inaugural year, and we really think that's going to be something that grows. There's a lot of documentarian interest into helping cover that event because it's such a mega race. And also shouldn't overlook on October 21, 2, and 28 and 29, this is the Fridays and Saturdays, the two leading up to Halloween. We worked with the Beale Street Theater to host a Powerhouse Clown House sort of haunted house experience, which raised $11,360 for Beale Street renovations. And that's something that our staff put together to help out with their efforts. Marketing. So November and December, we've got all three of our billboards coming into Kingman, the one off of 93 coming in from Vegas, and the two sides of Interstate 40. Those are now also helping to announce events. So if you look at them, they'll have a little black box that talks about the events that are coming up, and that's updated to talk about the Parade of Lights and the International Mountain Biking Association Rattle Race this month, and then next month, because we really don't have a lot of activities going on for later December, and in January it's going to be Happy Holidays and New Year. In the Kingman's Welcome to Kingman annual insert in the minor, we did a full page advert that's kind of welcoming people who are looking at moving into Kingman. We renewed our Weibo our Weibo account. That's a Chinese social media account. So that's going to go for another 12 months. We still think that market will eventually be coming back. We also participated in the National Tour Association Travel Exchange. That was in Reno last week. I had meetings with 17 tour operators talking about tours that they're building to bring people into Kingman. And I've got some pretty good information from that that'll be doing a lot of follow-up over the next few weeks. Through the Arizona Office of Tourism's Rural Marketing Cooperative, we launched a email campaign and lead service marketing with goarizona.com in September. We also launched YouTube pre-roll video advertising in September. In October, we launched Google search engine marketing. So that's, people doing searches for things to do. And we renewed our advertisement. It's a half-page ad and half-page advertorial in the Grand Canyon Journal. This is a printed piece for people that are looking at doing visitation to the Grand Canyon. There's also an online component on mygrandcanyonpark.com, which includes Kingman and some various itineraries as part of that marketing campaign. Upcoming will be doing another mobile data service. This is with a company called Near. This will include international visitors, something that the current platform we use doesn't have, so it's going to be more geared for telling us where visitors are coming in from out of the United States, which we think will be really useful. And then we'll be participating in Arizona Drive Guide full page advert for their winter issue, December, January, February. projects. The main project that we've been working on outside of the events and marketing has been online business profile assistance. So we reviewed an audit of online profiles of 498 community businesses. What we found in that audit was 25% of Google top site listings were not complete. They were missing images or missing information on hours, that sort of thing. 22% of Google My Business's listings are unclaimed, and so those can still be claimed by the business owners. 78% of listings are not on TripAdvisor, and 21% of listings are not on Yelp. So that's something that we're going to be working on, helping those businesses get their online profiles updated. The more that's updated, the more it helps for Kingman. So far, we've assisted with 17 updates, and then we're continuing to work on those with other businesses in Kingman. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
I would like to ask, I read up on the Monarch. I read up on the Monarch race. That looks brutal. They run all the way up from Bullhead?
So they do the swim in the Colorado River in
Right.
Bullhead, and then they do a bike ride from Bullhead into Kingman, going
Uphill.
up 68, and then on 66 coming into Kingman, and then they transition up at the high school to running, and they run down Route 66 up Walpine Mountain Road, and then back, and they complete under
saw
the arch
that.
downtown.
Wow, God love them. That's fantastic. The Seligman Run, what is that? You said it's a
The
race.
Route 66 Ultra Run, yeah, you
Is
can
it-
find more information at Route 66.
What kind of run is it?
So
it
these
cars
are they're a foot race.
Oh, okay.
And these are ultra athletes, so they're doing all 140 miles in
Yeah.
one go, no sleeping or stopping. It's a major thing. So having the 14 participants, actually they had 25 initially signed up.
Really?
Some people had some injuries, they were sick, unable to come in. So having the 14 was pretty good. And they've already got next year lined up. They're going to be doing, once again, the reason they launch on Veterans Day is Route 66 was established on November 11th.
Okay.
And so it's all to commemorate Route 66. And this is something they're trying to build into a big centennial event.
So they start in Seligman, and where's the end? Here?
No, so Angel Delgadillo flags them off in Seligman.
What?
And then they come through,
Oh,
yep,
wow.
they go through downtown here and continue down Oatman Highway to all the way to Topak. And that's where they finish.
Very cool. Are they
Have my-
professional athletes?
They are,
Oh,
yes.
okay. They're amateurs.
Yeah, it's what they do.
I think you guys do some really cool stuff, and I'm always thrilled to hear what it is you're working on.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Sixta, Commissioners,
Bennett?
can you hear me? Can you hear me now? All right. Well, it's good seeing everybody. It's been a few months since the last time we've been able to get together. Want to update you on some projects that we've been working on during that time period and some projects that have been going on really for the last few years. Last meeting, I did mention Allo and how they're doing some work out at the industrial park as well as throughout the whole city to bring fiber to the premise of every home in Kingman. And they're moving along with their project. They actually did procure a building out at the industrial park, and they have hired 15 employees that just operate out at the park. And you'll see their trucks pretty much all around town. They will have a facility in town as well that the customer can go directly to them when they get set up and going to handle utility billing and any of the in-person type activity. So that's really nice. They really get involved in the community as well. So we're excited about that project. The facility out at Kingman is actually the regional facility where they handle all of their equipment, and that is even for the Lake Havasu project as well. So we're excited that we were able to locate that in our industrial park. One of the items that we recently completed and was released in July of this year was the 2021 annual report. So we take all the data from 2021 and we put it into this report. This report is something that came about through the plan. So as you guys go through that plan, you're going to see different things that we are doing, things that still need to be done. So really good that you guys are going to be reviewing that. It's things like these that come from that plan and really give you some good insight into what's going on in the community when it comes to economic development. I did bring copies of that for you guys if you haven't seen it yet. One of the other items that we're working on is a business retention and expansion survey and economic impact analysis of the industrial park. We hope to have that report finalized. We are going to present it to council in a work session, and the goal is to do that on the 20th. We're just wrapping up all the data that we've accumulated. We've got that off to the consultant, and they're going to wrap the data into a nice document that we're going to be able to present. And again, those are the type of documents that come via the plan that then help us to take a look at the community and see where maybe we need to focus based upon surveys and things like that. So some of the project updates in regards to some land sales that have taken place over the last few years. We've been doing some land sales since the city took over operations in 2018. One of those land sales was to a developer for Frito-Lay. That contract and the construction of that project is actually completed. The building's done. All the landscaping's in. Frito-Lay is going to take operational control of the building in December, sometime around the 10th. So we're excited about that facility being up and operational. That was a 3.6 acre land sale of city-owned property that we did. Interstate Trailers is another land sale that we worked on. They did an expansion behind their facility. And I think that land sale took place back in 2019. And the project is just finishing being constructed. So they're getting the water and sewer lines approved, and they've already hired 10 people for that expansion, and those employees are already being trained. Part of the process when we sell property, we put stipulations depending on the project that they're going to build a certain size building, maybe hire a certain amount of people. And so once that's done, we will then go to council and release those conditions. So a lot of these projects you'll see come back before council, and we'll be releasing those conditions, so then they have a deed that is not obligated by those, and they can sell the business and things like that that might happen. Those items need to be taken care of. So we do that on an ongoing basis as projects get completed and finalized. Another project, ISCO Industries expansion is taking place. They're adding 40,000 square foot. The building is already up, and so they're working on all the interior items. They don't have the occupancy agreement yet on that, but it is moving forward really quickly. We did a press release on that a couple months back. So we did a land sale with them adjacent to their site for about 7 acres. That enabled them to expand their product storage capability with the goal of eventually expanding their building off to the side of their other existing parcel that they owned at the time. And so that was a land sale that took place in 2018. And over the years, as they grew from those expansions, they were then able to build that facility. So very excited to see that come to fruition. And that, again, is going to be one of those releases that we are going to be working on because they've met those conditions. Project that, we also work on projects that aren't necessarily land that we own, but that are working their way through the process in the industrial park, which means they go through the county processes as well. So we're working with Stage FX. They purchased 3.5 acres of land out at the park. This was a property that had been sold in the past and had a business at one time. Over the years, many years ago, a business closed down, the land became vacant, and it's being redeveloped. So you'll see some redevelopment that happens on occasion out in the park. And so they're going to build a 51,000 square foot facility. And what they do is they construct and store staging equipment that is used in concerts and different things like that in Vegas, mainly the Vegas area. So they have got the site plan submitted to the county, and they're going through their process. We worked with a company called InSteel out at the industrial park, and they are in the process of a capital investment expansion, as well as expanding their front of their building a little bit to accommodate that extra, the extra equipment that's going to be brought in. They're going to invest over $12 million into that expansion. Plans have already been approved. They've already been started to move the building. Excuse me. And they've also, we worked with them. There was, they needed more land, and they were kind of landlocked. And so we worked with them to expand, to try to talk to the local other businesses that were in the area. And we've actually found land across the street that would work for them. And so with that, they were able to purchase that land. They closed on that about a month ago. And with that, you know, that's going to give them that additional storage capacity that they need, taking a property that was not being used and is going to create jobs. They're going to create over 15 to 20 new jobs with that expansion. Working with Patriot Rail in regards to a transloading facility. The facility broke ground last month. We've been working on this project for about a year. And what this is going to do is this is going to add 700 feet of rail, 2 tracks, 700 feet each. And it's going to give them, excuse me, let me get a drink, sorry.
I was going to give you one of these.
Appreciate that. So that 700 feet of track is going to give us capacity to do additional transloading within the park. Basically, all the track that we currently have is occupied. And so if we have new business want to come in and they want to offload product off the rail and then ship it out, we really don't have the capacity to do that. With this addition, we're going to be able to do that. So very excited for that project. And then FedEx. Yeah. FedEx.
I have them in my pocket.
Oh, I'm good. Oh, thank you.
It's a thing.
Thank you for helping my staff.
See, we do talk too much. FedEx, you're familiar with that project. It's a 30-acre land sale that we did. The developer is actually going to, they've already turned the building over to FedEx, so the developer comes in, they purchase the property from us. The project's been turned over to FedEx, and they are going to actually start delivering packages throughout Mojave County. So very excited about that. We've not actually had discussions with FedEx throughout the whole process. It's been dealing with the developer. So we are in the process of getting the contacts for who we're going to work with, you know, as we get a new tenant into the park. And we'll, excuse me, work with them to, you know, maybe look at a ribbon cutting or something like that. So we're gonna have those conversations.
Could you tell them how big the building is, the number of?
Yeah, it's a 217,000 square foot. The employee numbers, we don't know that yet. So FedEx hasn't released, how many employees they're going to be operating out of that. So when we get those numbers, we will put them out. We're working on 2 current land sales in the park right now for some new industry. One project, which we call Project Marine. It's a national company, and we're working with the developer on that. Again, the developer comes in, they have the contract with, or the potential contract with the company, and they lease the building back from the developer. And so that would be a 60,000 square foot facility. The appraisal's been done on that project, but we are waiting to see if they want to move forward with it. So they're holding off right now for basically whatever reason that they decided to do that. So we're going to wait until, to move that forward, we're going to have to wait until they give us the go-ahead. Project Trainer is another project that we're working on. It's a 7-acre land sale. Appraisal's been ordered on that project, and the site survey is in process. And we're also, they've just ordered soils tests. So that project is also moving forward. So we have 2 land sales in process. Another project, getting away from the industrial park a little bit, is staff put together, over the last 3 months, we worked on a new website. So if you're able to go to choosekingman.com, you can take a look at the site. We're really proud of that, and we've had a lot of compliments from it. So please take a look at that if you get a chance, and we'd love to get your guys' feedback as you go through that plan. Part of that plan was new website, and then continue to update, and that's what we worked on. So with that, that's my update on everything we currently have going on. If you guys have any questions, I appreciate it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's transloading? Transloading, what is that?
So product comes into the park via rail,
Uh-huh.
and then it's loaded on a truck,
Okay.
and then shipped out.
Oh, it's taken off the rail and then put on the truck?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so they don't have a facility in the park. It's just they need to get products somewhere
Okay.
in the region and get it delivered.
Okay, I understand. Anyone else?
Yes, Daniel.
It's not working.
Do you have a timeline on FedEx when it's going to be done?
Oh, it's completed.
And so they're getting ready to put it in operation?
Yes, yeah. So they're already been turned over to FedEx, and so FedEx is setting up their operations. You'll already see trucks out there, and deliveries starting to be made depending on product coming in.
Chairman Sixta, also, we get a percentage of every rail car that comes into the park.
Oh,
So whether they're storing or coming through, that is how our contract is with Patriot Rail. So we get a percentage.
Oh.
So they did certainly this at their expense, but everything that moves in and out of that park.
very cool. I did not know that. Brittany?
Thank you. Mr. Bennett, I have a couple of questions for you.
Yes, Brittany.
The last meeting, you gave us a report, and it had several other projects on there. Can I ask about them if I give you the names?
Sure.
So you talked about Project Sunset?
No update on that. So they're still in the site selection process.
Project Diablo?
Yes, we've had recent communications with the site selector, and they have asked us for information. We've then responded and replied to that. They're still in the site selection process. We've actually, though, to be able to get more feedback like that is better than the previous project that you just mentioned.
Okay, nice.
So it's in a better position.
And then you had some that you had listed that had, in particular, bringing in some jobs that were higher paid. One of them was Project Launch.
Yes, no update on that, and they have not requested any additional information.
Okay. And Project Luna.
Luna, same.
Okay.
So we do have, there are some other projects that we've since, you can add to your list if you'd like. I've updated you on Project Diablo, project called Blackout. They actually did a site visit this month. So we are presented property as well as a current site. So Project Blackout is moving and being looked at.
That's awesome.
Another one, Project Sear. Sear, S-E-A-R. That's California-based company. They reached out to us, potentially looking to locate out of California. They have not done a site visit yet.
Awesome. Thank you for that information. And I also wanted to say the new website you guys have is really nice and hopefully will help draw more businesses into the area. You should definitely be proud of that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I as well have checked out the website. Yeah, I like it a lot. I mean, it's very informative. It moves around easily for someone like me. I can navigate. I can ask a question and find the answer.
Good.
So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
Any more questions? Thank you.
All right. I
Janet, Mr.
apologize for
Bradley.
the frog in
all
my
right.
throat.
You must be human. It's probably okay.
Next is Sylvia in the retail report. Hi, Sylvia.
Good afternoon, Chairman Sixtus. Good to see you after several months of being away.
Yes.
Just remind me to step into this mic because I tend to step back.
Yes.
So I'm finding it very hard to follow my amazing team workers right now. They all do such amazing things. So good job for my team members. I do want to introduce myself since I haven't met a couple of you. So I am Sylvia Schaefer. I do work with the retail and commercial, whether both retail attraction and business retention also. Yes, that's what I tend to do, but right here. There we go, we'll try that. I do have a background in planning for about 15 years, and so that did complement coming over to the economic development side. I'm more familiar with a lot of the zoning codes and practices that assist me when I'm talking to retailers and developers. So that's a little bit about me. What I've been doing the last several months is attending a lot of grand openings. I don't know if you catch a lot of them, but I do work closely with the Kingman Chamber when we have new businesses coming into town, basically welcoming them when they open. A couple, more recent ones was Charlie's Philly's Cheesesteak in the Walmart, which is a nice, I've been there a couple times since and watch, I always like to see how it's doing. And there's still been quite a few people going, so that's good news. And the owner is a wonderful person. If you ever get the chance to meet him, he's still there while they're opening right now, and he's just, say hello. His name is Chanjin Park. He's very nice. There has also been several in the downtown area, like Summer Ray Wine Bar did a re-grand opening. Forever Fringed wasn't too long ago over on 4th Street. We also had Olympus Diner near Southern and Eastern, another Filipino food shop that's off Stockton Hill Road. And then we still have a lot of movement in downtown in general that I'm even trying to keep up with a little bit, but there's a lot of little specialty stores coming into a lot of the vacant suites in downtown. So that's good. That's good. As well as working with the chamber, I also work with a lot of the other partnering organizations like Local First Arizona, Small Business Development Center, the college, Mojave County Economic Development, and we all work together basically with the same goals in mind, bringing new businesses to town and keeping them. So that's always a good partnership to have. I do also attend some conferences, which Commissioner Sixta has attended with me in the past for retail attraction. The next one will be in May in Las Vegas for ICSC. And that's where we go, and it's in the Las Vegas Convention Center, and there's just a lot a lot of commercial developers, retailers, and people we talk to make connections with and talk about Kingman and how, we want you here and make those connections. And really, they do work. I remember we talked to a couple for probably, 5 years, maybe 7, because you were going even before me sometimes. And it takes about that long sometimes for them to come. So every retailer is different, but it's just good to keep those connections with them. The other things, we have several commercial permits, in the works. I know as you're driving around, you can see some of the construction going on. So that's another good thing that's happening. I didn't make a list of every commercial project in the permit status, but it's still pretty healthy. The hotel behind the old Safeway is under construction, so it's about 94 more rooms. And eventually that commercial subdivision behind the Safeway will be full at some point. So that's good because they're a real good development team, basically working to make that happen. What else do we got? I oversee programs, small business incentive programs, like the facade program. In summary, that was the program we put together to help commercial businesses upgrade their facade, whether it be paint, windows, signs, doors. That's generally anything you can see from the street for the most part. And since 2019, we helped about 25 businesses. So it's been very good. It took a little time at first to get it rolling, but after a while, we started seeing quite significant improvements, like a couple of neon signs at Garibaldi's or Kingman Turquoise that really made an uplift, or paint, right? So that program continues. This year, where our funds expended, so that tells you how everybody was interested and got in until next fiscal cycle. We also have a murals program that I'll be presenting to council very soon. That will also be a matching grant type of program. About 20,000 in the it is 20,000 in the funds for that, and up to 5,000 per applicant can be matched for their murals program. Initially, it's proposed as in downtown Kingman for the first year with certain themes to just get the project rolling and get through the first year and see how it goes, basically. So we're looking forward to that. And with that being said, both of those programs, I'm working really close with the finance department, and we have a very nice young lady that's going to work with me on transitioning to help oversee those programs so that I can focus on retail. Because I know we're looking for some more, right? Okay, so I pretty much think that's everything I have to update you on for the moment. Do you have any questions for me?
I'd just like to say thank you. I think you do a banging job, and yeah, you do a great job. So thank you for that. And Brittany?
Welcome.
I do have one question. Last meeting you off in your report, you said you were working with an outside contracting agency to create some brochures from the handouts that you had for like the facade program and things. Has that moved forward, or?
Yeah, we actually have the draft for the facade program. It is in a nice format at the moment. We're probably just going to wait a little longer to make a couple updates with the transition of having somebody oversee the program. But yeah, they are complete.
Nice.
Yeah, and so
I think there's an opportunity for many businesses to take advantage of that here in the city, but I think it's one of the lesser known programs, even as much as you guys have put it out there.
yeah, nope, the brochure is ready. So thanks for the follow-up on that.
Thank you very much.
Chairman Sixta, if I might, one of the things that's going to be a really big help for Sylvia, and it's kind of the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and that is we need for those 2 interchanges to break ground. That is key. I will have to tell you that if Sylvia hears anything every time on the phone from large developers, meaning i.e. people in department stores, it is what is the status of those 2 interchanges. So the day either one of them break ground will mean an awful lot on the retail side, certainly. And if you look at them in perspective, Kingman Crossing, believe Council's been notified that it's getting closer. And so we could see groundbreaking, within the next 9 months. And so if that happens, then that will certainly help Sylvia a great deal, because right now, she works very diligently on infill, certainly on Stockton Hill. But those developers, they do look, and they know that road traffic. I mean, they know what 40 means to this community. So the day that happens, Sylvia will probably be a very busy person.
Yes.
So she's now still busy, I mean. Thank you. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you too.
Appreciate it. Next, the airport report. Doug?
Forgive me, I should have checked to see if those were on earlier. Good afternoon, Chair Sista and Commissioners. Just provide you an update with some of the major projects at the airport. One thing is, as everybody, or majority of people generally know, that the airport doesn't belong or is not underneath the economic development. But we do work hand in hand with a lot of items when it comes to it, more than just land sales. One thing that we have engaged with and requested economic development's help is to actually develop a formal marketing plan for the airport. So Bennett has been very nice enough to work hand in hand with me, showing what they do on the actual industrial park side, how they sell that land, how they prep it, how they market it. And we're taking that information and trying to apply it for the parcels inside the actual airport fence line, so we could get a little bit better out there, get our name out there, show what we have to offer, and be a little bit more active instead of passive, waiting for companies to come in and ask us, hey, what parcels do you have? What amenities do you have next to it? What businesses could actually support our business inside the airport? One thing that we have noticed through this is that even though the airport is, for the most part, a lot of our revenues come from the storage of aircraft, we do have multiple different types of maintenance facilities. We have composite repair facilities, we have aircraft painting, and we have additional businesses inside the industrial park that are aviation focused. So we're trying to get that information together, because if you're looking at bringing in, let's say, a place as a minor base or a minor aircraft repair facility, then the airport will already have everything there waiting for you, to where you don't have to worry about, hey, I have to order this part from this location, or I need to take my aircraft to another location to get painted. We want them to realize everything's there. So we're working hand in hand with them at this present time to try to develop and get a marketing plan going for the aviation side of the airport. Another large project that we are moving forward on is the dross. On the southern ramp of the airport, we do have a lot of acreage ramp asphalt that we really cannot use. Very difficult marketing due to the aluminum dross contamination that is underneath the pavement. And what it's basically doing is lifting up as the aluminum dross gets wet during the monsoon season. As it starts warming up, it starts releasing ammonia, which is lifting up our pavement on the airfield. In that section. So we cannot use that, or a good chunk of that, for any type of revenue creation or helping out our businesses or our tenants on the airport. So what we've done over the past several months was we went through a 30% and 90% design plan with Haley and Aldridge and their sub-consultants. They've taken all that information and they have given that information to the city's attorney's office, our legal representation, and they're going through and verifying that it will look good during the remainder part of this litigation with DOJ, making sure that DOJ will be happy with how we present this. Once we do that, then we're going to go to DOJ. They're going to ask any questions regarding the cost on mobility, transportation, construction cost, and once they're okay with that, then it will be blessed, and then the goal is to begin that construction late fall. That is the actual target. That's the best time. When we remove the aluminum dross, it won't activate while we're transporting it. It's the best time to actually get that moving forward. The beautiful side about that is once we get a brand new ramp, it's going to be fairly easy to market a large section of the property that is currently unused at this time. And one thing I want to speak about is the industrial park master development plan. This is going to be actually tied into the land release. Give you a little bit of background. A few years back, a large section around 1,800 acres was identified to be released from federal obligations. In order to get that released from federal obligations to where we could sell the land, we had to go through a NEPA process with the FAA to get it released from those federal obligations. When we started pushing this forward, the FAA came back with some comments that we needed to get addressed for them to feel comfortable with this land release. We took that information back, and what we're actually doing is moving forward another project that was not supposed to be implemented till after the land release. We're actually pushing that forward. That project was an actual master development plan for that area. One thing that the FAA did request is a lot more detailed information, and I'll go into that a little bit earlier. So we went out there, we did a RFQ for companies to solicit their proposals for developing this industrial master plan. We received that back, and we have selected, or City Council has awarded it to Kaufman Associates. Now, to kind of give you a little bit of breakdown in this, we had about 57 acres on the very northern end, which was not connected to the other larger acreage on the south. So what ended up happening was we took a look at that acreage on the northern end, and it was just much more viable to keep it for aviation use. It's right there on the approach into the runway. We can, in the future, if there's ever need to extend the runway, that will be available, and including we could probably market that land for aircraft parking or other aviation businesses. It just better suited it. The next thing we did was we took a look at our budget, how much land, sat down with the consultants, and we had to actually shrink down the acreage of the land to approximately 700 acres on that very southwestern side marked in yellow. That's going to be the primary area. This is the area that we're going to go into a lot more detail that the FAA has requested, but at the same time, we are still seeing a valid use for the other area that's not going to go through the land release. We still understand that in the future, we will be expanding out there, either non-aeronautical, aeronautical terms, businesses, and we still need to go ahead, or how can I say, kind of prep that site for that future development. You just don't want to sit back and do a wastewater utility study right at the edge of the property, stop, and then basically start from scratch again in the future. So we're forward thinking on that. So we did target some of the scopes task for that additional 1,000 acres while having majority of the task targeting the 700 acres. With that, to give you a little bit of background on our consultants and what they're all doing, Kaufman Associates is going to be the primary project manager. They're going to be working with us on the land use planning, FAA coordination, because this is tied into the NEPA project, and then also the overall project management. CNS companies, they're going to be handling the roadway, rail, grading, infrastructure, engineering, and real estate marketing. I will tell you this CNS has been our primary engineer for the airport, so they're already familiar with the airport, the surrounding areas, and they've very much worked well with the airport and the city in the past. Sunrise Engineering will be handling the water and wastewater infrastructure modeling. They have worked with the city in the past, so that is a big benefit. We're not starting from scratch with a new company. J.E. Fuller will be handling the stormwater drainage. They are doing the stormwater drainage study for the city. That's another benefit because they have a lot of the modeling, so that will cut down on cost and time. AECOM is handling the transportation planning and study analysis. They're working on the overall transportation project for the city, so that's another benefit. They're already aware of what our needs are out here. And then Conoco is pretty much the primary cost estimate company. Now, there's a lot of items that are in here for this task that we're trying to do, or multiple tasks for this project. As you notice, that it is ranging everywhere from hydrology to traffic modeling, to how can we say, trip generation and distribution of when vehicles come inside the industrial park, how they're going to extend out throughout the area. All these tasks are put inside the plan. As you notice, some of this is full area. That's going to encompass the 1,000 acres plus the 700 acres. And here's some additional tasks. Some of these, as you notice, is much more condensed down into the 700 acres. With all these tasks, we're going to go through this. At the same time, we do have some additional tasks that are not listed in here, such as stakeholder meetings, public outreach. We are working very heavily with Mojave County and other city departments. They're part of a technical advisory committee. Those are the groups that control the wastewater flow, the flooding, the traffic management. So we're all going to get together and we're going to be working with them and the consultants at the same time to get this done as fast as possible with as smoothly as possible. Also, one thing I did want to point out, because I know some people ask this, the actual marketing side with this is the FAA is also requiring us to demonstrate who we're going to market to, how we're going to market, parcels, revenue generation, what's sell versus lease, so forth. Ben has been very nice to send us a lot of information that he's received from other businesses in the past, which we have already, as soon as the contract was signed, we immediately started sending that information to our consultants to go ahead and start using that information to develop these plans of who can potentially go into the site. Does anybody have any questions?
I do, but I think you might have answered it. Because CNS, they do road grading and real estate marketing.
They do marketing, they do road.
Those seem pretty far apart.
CNS is actually a very expansive company. They are very large. They do have an entire property development section that is coming in. It kind of caught me off guard too when we were first speaking to them, because I use them for really for airport side. And when we first saw CNS in there, I had to give our engineers a call and I said, hey, I did not realize you guys do this. He goes, oh no, we're massive. CNS is actually a massive company with multiple branches of engineering in there. And they do have an engineering firm that has dealt with property development before.
So they grade the roads and they engineer the roads before they're graded, and then they market the property, or?
No, what's going to end up happening is the marketing's kind of at the last point of this.
Of course.
Because what you need to figure out is what type of traffic you need, how much it's going to be.
I see what you're saying.
And then from there, getting the utilities, then you know, okay, all right, for this parcel with zoning, land use, who's going to be the targeted companies or industries for this?
So just to be clear, because I'm not the smartest person in this room, in order to clarify for the FAA to release the land, they have to compile an estimate of who's going to be there and what kind of revenue they're going to generate and what kind of people are going to work there, that kind of thing.
Well, the revenue side is actually for the city/airport.
Okay.
They want to know, it's not a full-blown appraisal, it's just a rough idea of how much a section of land's going to sell for, approximate. If you're to lease the land, how much the land will possibly lease for and generate revenue for the airport. It's not a full-blown appraisal. Before you sell the land or lease the land, that's when you have to go out and get the current market appraisal.
So what is the land use? Is it industrial? Is it commercial? Is it manufacturing?
It's probably going to be the industrial side. We still have to put it in there for land use just in case if there's another market or use that we have not seen before that could be targeted. So we do have an entire planning section for that. Now also for land use, is it going to be, how can I say, sold, or is it going to be a leased land that's going to be leased to where the city/airport or the airport underneath the city gets revenue generated from the lease of the land?
Understood. Questions?
Thank you for your work on this massive project. I have a question that might be a dumb question, but this is all on land and selling land. We have fairly light air traffic through our area. Do you guys also work on bringing in groups and training to utilize the airstrip itself? Like, for example, a few weeks ago, we had paratroopers in for a week that were doing training, and we've had TA Connections come and train pilots. Do you solicit those groups as well, or do you focus mainly on land?
No, no. From the airport side, we also market out to actual aviation industries and other activities that could come through the airport. We work hand in hand right now with our current tenants for expanding their operations. And one thing is that what a lot of people probably started realizing is that we've had a lot of increase in regional jet storage at the airport. Last count, we're around 330 stored aircraft. We get a monthly revenue from each and every one of those stored aircraft, and we work with those tenants with expansions. What we also do is, if we do have another company that is interested in coming to the airport, then we also do speak with them and market our airport to them. It's kind of in a passive, so we're trying to get a little bit more active. As for activities, we are doing other activities. One which was very minor that was held by the Rio, Colorado 99s that was held last week was just a small air race. It's nothing that as you think about Red Bull, it was around 8 to 9 aircraft where they flew from multiple airports from California and Arizona, and they just had a group of people that were timing them to see what time they flew over our airport, plus making all their safety calls and procedures. We've worked with tenants before to see if we can, one of our tenants, unfortunately something happened, they had to cancel it. They were looking at hosting a small little car show for the airport, but unfortunately a few problems popped up and they were not able to get it kicked off in such a short notice. But I would not be shocked if next year if they push that again. As for other activities, yes, we do get phone calls from other companies saying, hey, can we store our aircraft there for a short amount of time? Some other companies, especially during firefighter season, wildfire season, they'll give us a call and we'll work something out to where they could temporarily stage their firefighting aircraft on our property. So we're always open from everything from actual businesses to coming in to even these smaller events coming in.
Nice, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Comments?
Chairman, if I might, one of the things that people may need to help the commission understand is the close tie between the airport and the industrial park. When the land was first conveyed in 1979, the stipulation was that everything that was sold on the industrial side, all that money goes into a holding account for up to 5 years, so that Doug can use that to match any federal grant. But it has to be used on the aviation side. If we're fortunate enough to lease any property, that property revenue comes in, is allowed to be spent on operations. When the airport was conveyed, the first 1,100 acres in '79, it was a cakewalk compared to this. I mean, we had the infrastructure, we had the sewer, we had the water, we had all that. Now, it was in terrible condition, mind you, but it was all there, and it was a lot different approach. What Doug and Bennett and the rest of that group has to go through now is nothing short of phenomenal, because this master plan is costing an awful lot of money. So that's how we work real close. So just so you all understand, when Bennett brings these companies in, so for example on FedEx, that money from that property sale went over to that airport holding account. Okay, so Doug will be able to use that for match. It's the jobs we bring to Kingman, because we really have to say the focus is on the jobs. So when we say we look for companies that pay well, that have good benefits, that's as important as anything, certainly on the Kingman side here. But I have to give my hat off to Doug and his group and everybody else that's been involved with the FAA, because this has been truly, we've been 3 years just in the planning of and then we just got this about 8 or 9 months ago that they wanted this extensive master plan. And so we went, oh, wow, we almost, not that we had to start over, but it's been an awful lot of work. And also on this Dross site, that's all World War II leftovers from the melting down of the airplanes. And that has literally, what is it, Doug? Estimated 30 to, $35 million project. That's not us. That's the Department of Justice paying for it. But prior to Doug, the city's been working on that for 15 years. 15 years in litigation, as you know, Chairman.
we
It's been, so
Seems
now
like
we
forever.
are that close of, after the drilling has been done and, all that stuff, we're that close to opening up that property some point, so, yeah.
I didn't know that it was keeping the property from being opened up.
Oh, yeah, it literally pushes up like this.
Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
Just give you an idea, under FAA regulations, you cannot have any ruts, lips, humps over 3 inches, and some of the sections have gone up almost a foot.
Yeah.
So as soon as it goes up like that, you cannot use that section. Some of these sections are 20, 30 feet wide in diameter. So it just really restricts our areas to that we could use for revenue generation and customer service on the southern part of the ramp.
Quite the speed bump.
Yeah. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, well, thank you very much. With that, item 6, any announcements by the commission members?
I'm going to be meeting with the hoteliers in January again. We've got an active group that we've started here recently.
Oh, good. You have an announcement? Okay, Dan, nothing? And with that, I will adjourn this meeting of the Economic Development Advisory Commission for the City of Kingman.
How does that?
That's it.